My name's Gavin Barclay. I was placed by Rocksearch back in March, on the 16th of March, with Urban Science. My job title is web hosting specialist. Basically what I do is I take code which is from the local account managers. They're like developers who liaise directly with the customers. They then liaise with me, and then I take all the code and everything and deploy it into the relevant servers and everything, make sure it's working, and then hand it back to the LAM IT, as they're called. Basically, the recruitment process that I actually went through, I'd been made redundant from my previous place, which was Dun & Bradstreet, who I was actually employed from them by IT outsourcing via Axiom. I was made redundant from then. I then went onto the internet, joined LinkedIn, joined most of the job search agencies, and one of the job search agencies that actually contacted me after I'd submitted my CV was Deasy here at Rocksearch. He had a conversation with me, like a mini interview type thing, where I then went through what I wanted, what my goals were, where I wanted to be, salary, location, etc., etc. I then moved through that process. He went away for a little while, did some search on the things which whatever these people here do. Then he came back to me with the one for Urban Science and said that he'd found a good fit for me, and that would I like to have an interview with them. I then went through the formal interview process and obtained the job. From the first phone call, it was about 2 months, approximately 3 months. Main reason is because when I first approached him, it was like now, it was coming up to August, which is the, as we call it, the silly season, because most people are away on holiday, therefore they can't contact HRs. They're not really budgeting and things like that, so it is quite difficult for people like Rocksearch to actually do their searching for things. When he did come back to me, he kept in touch with me approximately once a week, every 10 days, maybe a fortnight, depending on the situations, to say, yes, I found this, I couldn't find this, and so on. And then he eventually stumbled on the one for Urban Science, because they were starting to recruit. And that's how he got me into that process. Deasy did actually give me some very good advice. He gave me advice on the actual pay bands and things and told me what it was, but he didn't feed that in until almost the end of the process. The reason for that is because when you're going for the interviews, you don't actually start discussing pay until something firm has actually been agreed. It's just not protocol, and it'll probably end up losing you the position. So he gave me good advice on that, which was very necessary because I was quite naive on that sort of thing. Because I'd come out of the army into my last job, I'd then been made redundant there, and this one, which when Joe discovered me, was actually the first one I'd done. I did all of my discussions with him over either mobile phone or landline. The reason, and the internet as well. The reason for that is I actually live quite a long way away from here. If I'd have been local in Reading, we probably would have met up, but I actually live in a place called Aylesbury, which is approximately an hour and a half drive from here. So obviously it's not really suitable. When I was redundant, not very much money, and I couldn't afford the fuel and things. So no, we didn't actually meet up, but that wasn't an issue because the communication was good. As for levels of support that Joe gave me, I think it was excellent once we'd actually got going. I do feel that Rocksearch, the same as a lot of the other recruitment agencies, could be a little bit more human when they're actually approaching people for the first time. Like in my situation, I didn't have a clue what to do, where to go, and anything else. I also was getting very frustrated because I'd been unemployed for nearly a year after being made redundant. The beginning process was a little bit stop and start, a little bit harsh and everything else. But once it actually got into the process of actually finding me a position, and then it was all guns blazing. The way that Rocksearch differs from other agencies, which I did find very human and very good, was, as I've just explained, at the very beginning it was a little bit of a false start, shall we say, a stuttering start. But once he'd actually found what I needed, and he'd found the niche of the markets, then the communication was very good. Some of the other agencies do similar things, but they won't even talk to you until they've got a position. Now, if you're on the other end of the system, that is actually quite hard, because you don't know what's going on. You think you're being ignored when actually you're not, and all it takes is a quick phone call, which Rock Search and Joe were actually doing once they'd realised, had the initial conversation with me saying, right, we want to look for X, Y, Z.